Ladies and gentlemen, a couple of years ago, I did something which by rights should have earned me a place in the Guinness Book of Records. Because I hired, without a shadow of a doubt, the worst employee in the universe. And I know some of you may think you've done that, but you do not know what you're talking about. I'm talking about somebody whose toxic influence turned a very happy, productive team with, it punched way above its weight into a place where there was politics and division and all those sorts of horrible things. And in the aftermath of that, I was left with two observations. The first one was that no matter what had happened, it wasn't appropriate to simply blame the employee. As a leader, I was the one who hired her. It was a choice, and I made it. And if I was to learn how not to do that again, I had to be able to take a different stance on that. The second one was that if politics and division were possible, they must always have been possible, so there might be something wrong with the way in which we constructed the organization. So I went out looking for solutions. I went out looking for, I should have done that a moment ago. I went looking for solutions from South Africa, case study material, anything I could find from organizations that had already dealt with this kind of thing. And I think that's probably all of us, isn't it? The remarkable thing is I couldn't find any. I went to the business schools, I went through the internet. I thought South African solutions would be more important because we have our own peculiar labor law, our own peculiar way of doing things. And to learn how American companies create engagement is all well and good, but it's not particularly helpful. In the absence of the material, I simply went out and created some. And that's what turned out to be the book and this whole Happy Sandpit journey that I'm on. There were some fascinating lessons from 60-odd South African organizations that I spent more than 2 years researching. Tons of stories, tons of brilliant information, because actually there are some very, very skilled ways to create great engagement, great cultures in this country. That's what I'll be sharing with you if you choose me for one of your conferences. But I want to share one particular insight which I think is fundamental to the whole thing. And it's a thing that I call the myth of work-life balance. Now, we refer to work-life balance as if it's some sort of a panacea, right? As if work is hard, it's difficult, it's time-consuming, it's exhausting. And the way to offset that is to, I don't know, take up mountain biking or something, as if that's somehow going to make things feel better. I don't personally think that has a lot of logic in it. I think the only reason we speak about work-life balance is simply that work doesn't feel enough like life. And here's what I mean by that. As an adult, there are certain things that I expect from my life, right? I'm the head of co-head of a household. She's in the room. Which means I have status. I have a place, a piece of land that is mine. I have little people. I have animals. I can make rules and regulations there. They're all mine. I can paint the walls purple if I want to. There are things that I'm able to decide upon, and nobody tells me what. Status. I have it. There's trust in my relationship. I hope there is in yours too. But I don't mean just in the fidelity sense. I mean in terms of Linda takes care of things, I take care of things. We don't have a lot of update meetings or spreadsheets to fill in to see whether stuff's been done. She's got my back, I've got hers, we know it. My opinion is valued. I don't always have the dominant voice. I mean, typically, here's what happens. I voice my opinion, then we do what she wants to do. But very rarely does anything happen under my roof that I know absolutely nothing about. And the best thing of all about being an adult is that I get to pick who I spend time with. If I like you, let's be friends, let's hang out. If I don't have to call you. That's my life. It's fully engaging. I love it. I built it. It's tailor-made for me, and I get to be totally, totally involved in that, take ownership of everything. But when I come to work, something quite different happens. Far from being the co-head of a household, my status is dictated by somebody else entirely, and it often has absolutely nothing to do with the way in which I perceive it. The manifestation is the desk and the chair that I sit at, the corner of the room in which they're placed. That's you, bud. You don't trust me. And it's not that you don't specifically trust me, but we write policies to protect ourselves against the 3% of people who might mess us around, and we handcuff the 97% who are never going to do it in the first place. And that's the world that I work in. You don't ask my opinion about anything. Even if I believed you were listening, there generally isn't a mechanism to even get to it. And far from being able to pick who I spend time with, here's what happens at work. The boss turns up on Monday and says, here's Kevin, make him feel at home. I don't like Kevin. I find Kevin slightly irritating, frankly. I think Kevin's lazy. He makes me look bad. What I do, therefore, is I put on my work hat. I come to work and I act in that way. It's a totally different way. It's a totally different persona that I might adopt. If you're looking for engagement, you're not going to get it from that. What I'll do is I'll help you unravel some of those things through stories and explain how other organizations have created some of these things to make work feel more like life and to drive engagement. Thank you very much.